that's backstage that want to talk and want to chime in. We do have someone. Her name is Stacy, I believe. She is backstage and she want to say something. Go ahead, Stacy.
Hi there, Wiley.
Hi.
So I wanted to chime in because I heard you earlier just singing Biden's praises, and I was so appalled because apparently you do not know Biden's history. And this is why it's so important for Black people to know our history, because this is exactly what Malcolm X was talking about when he was giving his speech, The Ballot or the Bullet. That he's not here as a liberal or conservative. I'm not here as either, but I am here to inform the Black people that Biden is not who he says that he is. If you know your history, you will know that Biden in the 80s and the 90s, he was a leading crusader of incarceration for Black men. So he called Black felons, Black men, predators, and too sociopathic to even rehabilitate. So he doesn't even believe that Black men are able to be rehabilitated. So that's one. For two, he's a white supremacist. He was in favor of segregation, including the schools. So what was it? I believe he was also he was a staunch opponent for forced busing in the 70s too. So he has a very like seedy history and seedy past with legislation with Black people and making sure that we were segregated and making sure that Black men remain incarcerated. He was definitely leading crusader on all of that legislation. It wasn't until I even remember quoting that he said something about Obama being the only Black man he has seen come out of the Democratic Party that was actually articulate or something, as if he's the most articulate man we have ever seen on any Senate stage or Congress floor. It was so insulting, basically saying like, oh my goodness, an educated Black man, this is one of the seven wonders of the world, like something that's impossible to ever come across. So no, you have to take a step back and you really have to educate yourself and not misinform like your fan base.
And what did I
So
misinform about? Name two
I
things.
mean, you were singing the praises of Biden as if
What
he's our
praises?
white knight, like
I
he's
understand
some
that. But
white
what
savior.
praises did I,
And
no, no,
all
no. What did
and
I say?
you were so pro Biden just because
Okay,
he
what did
gave
I say?
you
What
student
okay, what
loan
programs?
relief,
Okay,
which is relief that most people have been getting for decades because obviously you went to a
what was
college
that?
that is no
What
longer
program?
that
What
is no
program?
longer accredited.
Miss
People have
Stacy,
been getting debt relief for
Miss
unaccredited colleges for
okay,
years,
okay, let me say this.
pre-Biden
Okay,
administration.
let me say this. Number one, let me challenge you. The infrastructure bill Biden have passed. Yes, what Biden did, talking about Black folks during that era of all the crime, the gang infested neighborhood from DC, all these inner city neighborhoods, it was a bad time and a bad era. Not only President
That's
Biden,
how he
not
feels,
only, hold on one
period.
second, ma'am, 1 second. I let you speak. 1 second. Not only a Senator Joe Biden signed or helped author the bill, the crime bill that everybody talk about, but it also Black politicians that wanted the government to do something as well because they got tired of the gangs taking over the streets, the crime, and there's a lot of that had to deal with the crack epidemic, and a lot of these young folks start joining
Have
gangs
a
at a high
history
rate.
with
1 second, ma'am.
desegregation
Ma'am.
and
1 second.
incarcerating Black men
1 second, ma'am. I understand that, but
prior
one
to
second.
that
One second.
legislation.
1 second. 1 second. Again, so Biden, as well as the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as Black mayors, also wanted the government to do something more with crime. They wanted to do something. And let's be clear, a lot of Democrats wanted to be in higher office, and Republicans was the whole tough on crime. So Democrats, especially these white Democrats, did not want to look like they outside of the party. So they start picking up this whole idea of being tough on crime. President Clinton, you want to talk about being tough on crime? He signed the crime bill into law. So, and he was beloved by black folks because he
He
played.
was beloved for all the
One
wrong
second,
reasons.
one
That's an
second,
ad
one second,
hominem.
one
It
second.
has nothing
I
to
understand that.
do.
1 second. He signed the crime bill into law. So, and he was a Democrat. So again, because Democrats during that era, they wanted to compete with white Republicans because they have this whole idea being tough on crime. Was President Biden right during that time? No. He apologized. Was President Clinton right? No. Obviously, they had it wrong to a certain extent because now crime is still high in the city of Chicago. Carjacking is up. Robbery is up. So we need to get those criminals off the street, whether they black, white, or otherwise, because I am tired and I've been robbed twice in the city of Chicago. I can speak about the city of Chicago because I've seen how the crime went up. And let's be clear, Miss Stacy, not only crime is high in Inglewood, where I was born and raised, or O Block, where I know have friends and visit that area, but it's also high in the great white downtown, where all these great white people, 2 black students was murdered up the street in downtown. So it's not only affecting black people, poor, low-income people, as you want to spin it, it's also affecting those white folks with dogs, white people with money, white crime that I never thought would ever happen in these prevalent white high-income areas. Because if you don't do enough, and I'm going to go to Don, to tackle poverty, you will always have crime. Don?
All right. So, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
So, Crystal, the question we were talking about Biden, what he was praising Biden today, that had nothing to do with the character of Biden. So, if you've listened to me on the Wiley Show for last year, 2 years ago, even, I've been on the show and I've told you guys the history of Biden, how he's best friend with the Grandmaster of the KKK. He even during his presidency, he went to the guy's funeral and did the eulogy, right? And so I've talked about him and Hunter Biden and everything else. That had nothing to do with the question we had posed to the audience. The question was, what has he done with this administration as far as put money in our pockets and things like that? And so that's when Wiley was saying, and I was saying, well, the student loans and stuff helped a lot of people out and things like that. But we weren't praising Biden. Well, I wasn't praising Biden. I don't think Wiley was praising Biden. We were just at the end of the day, you can give flowers when you give flowers, you give flowers. He ain't shit to me. You know what I mean? Neither one of them are.
Exactly.
So.
And I don't care what the character are. Like, if you pass the bill to help get my student on that, okay, there is plenty white races that I work for. Okay? There is plenty of them. When you go to them UPS jobs, do you think they give a damn about your skin color? No. They will fire your black ass in a second and replace you with Pookie and Ray Ray that same hour. But if you increase my hourly wage, okay. And if you don't like what they doing, you can always build and operate your own company. But my point is, I'm not going to judge Biden because I do believe he only brought Kamala Harris because black folks, particularly black women, demanded that he put a black woman on the ticket. I don't care, but he did it. The same way President Obama added Biden to the ticket, not because they were friends, but because he was a white male with experience in government, whether it was good or bad. He had decades in government, and Obama needed that. The same way President Biden needed a younger VP because he's old, and black women in particular, the highest demographic that vote ever, they demanded that he put a black woman on the ticket. And the idea that you bring up, it was Kamala Harris that challenged Biden on the busing. It was Kamala Harris that Vice President Harris that challenged Biden or being buddy with racist people, segregationist people. It was Kamala Harris, and she got a lot of praise and publicity. So I was kind of surprised and shocked that out of all the qualified black women in government, he picked Kamala Harris because she was calling them out when they was going toe-to-toe with each other. But go ahead, Miss Stacy, your response.
My response is that I'm perplexed and I'm frankly rather disgusted that you guys are saying we will support a racist man who is aligned with the KKK, who is known to bar the Department of Health, Education, Welfare, all of these programs and subsidy programs and financial assistance programs that aid Black families, that you would say we're to hell with his racist, anti-Black history. What he's doing now is good enough, which is frankly practically nothing. The fact that he clear your student loan debt is nothing new. When colleges are unaccredited, when they close down, when your degree no longer means anything, that debt is normally alleviated. It's canceled out. That does not stay on your record. That's something that has been happening since the Obama administration. And I'm sure it happened before then, but I
No,
know
it did
for a
not.
fact it
No,
happened in
let
the
me hold
Obama
on, Miss Stacy. Let me
administration.
challenge you for a second.
What
It did not
what
happen
you're
under
excited
President Trump.
about is
It
not
did
even
not happen
something.
under President Obama. Hold on
That
one
was
second.
something
One
that
second,
happened
Miss
under
Stacy.
Obama
One
too.
second, Miss Stacy. I got
Yes,
to say that it did not get canceled under President Trump because we asked.
I did
We
not say
just told you
Trump.
it did
I
not
said
happen. So
Obama.
again, it did not
That
happen under
being
President
alleviated for
Obama.
student
It
loan
did
debt
not
that's
happen
not
under
for
President
universities
Obama
that aren't
either.
accredited
That
is not.
I got to tell you this, ma'am, because what you're saying is you're not making facts. Again, I can only speak for the Wiley Show, and I said for me it was canceled under President Obama. Now, for you to say he's part of the KKK and all that, I don't know that. But what I know, that man in the White House canceled this Black man's student loan debt, period, point blank. And if you don't like it, Miss Stacy, go take your chances with Trump. And let's see how far you get. The same Trump that said just recently, not in 1990 or 1980, I can see the Black people. The only people I can see right now is just the Black people. Oh, I can see the Black people. I love the Black people. But yeah, you critic. He just recently just said it. You know what, Miss Stacy? He just said a couple of days ago, not in 1990 when I was just born, November 11, 1990. Not in the 80s when I was even heard of. He just said the Black people, they love me because I've been indicted. 4 indictment, 5 indictment. That's why they love me. They said I'm being discriminated against. What he's saying is Black folks F with me because they criminals too. That's pretty much
No,
I'm just
no.
what he's saying is how I took it, that I've been indicted, 4 indictment, 5 indictment, 10 indictments. And the Black people feel the only people that feel that way in Black America that have been indicted. But there is no Black person on earth, Don, and you can contest to this. We get 1 indictment. Do you think our ass is going to be walking around free? If the judge say you better not post this or that, we're going to be in prison. And some of us will be in prison with a huge bail anyway. Let's just say $3,000. So by President Trump is getting away with everything. If me and you would commit a crime, do you think we will say we'll have those same privileges that President Trump have right now, enjoying right now?
No, we wouldn't, but I wouldn't ride with Biden. Like I wouldn't ride with Biden. Like I'm like this. Like, you know, me, when you and Stacy talked about the Democratic Party and you're talking about the Democratic and Republican Party and all this kind of stuff, I just put it to you like this. As it pertains to the business and all that kind of stuff, because that's what we were on. We were on just talking about like the business of it. At the end of the day, if you want to be taken care of by the government, I'm just being real with you. If just from a, like you said, this was a business. The United States was incorporated in 1778?
1776, I believe.
76. Okay. But guess what? The mofos got her in 1523. So it took them 200 and how many years? 200 and some 60 some years to kill off all the 8 million people that Columbus, the melanated people that Columbus, reported that was her. It took them 200 and some years to kill off and then incorporate all the land. So at the end of the day, if you want the government this is just my opinion. If you want the government taking advantage of you, not taking advantage, you want the government to take care of you. If you wanna, be at the bootstraps of the government, calling you, not wanting you to be a business or handle your business, man, you stay a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not with the Democrats or Republicans. I think all that shit full of shit. It's birds of the
I
same.
agree too, which is why I referenced the ballot or the bullet. If anybody's familiar with that speech, it's about give me freedom or give me death. To hell with either party.
Right. So I don't like Obama didn't do shit. Like, and this is just me. This is me. I can talk like, in my opinion, Obama didn't do shit. He did more for the LGBT community than he did for blacks. So, motherfucking miss me on that shit with Obama. Lick a by, and he's the most oldest, like the oldest person in the room is most likely the racist. And our grandparents taught us that. Our mom and them taught us that. Come on, man. Listen, go to Biden's track record when it comes to that. So
let me also,
and then you can go to Trump's record with everything he done said. At the end of the day, we truly don't got nobody fighting for us. It's like the United States gives you a choice, but the choice they giving you is pick. They picked them. So the two people we fighting against and we talking about, they picked them. We didn't pick them. They picked them for us. We have to, you know what I'm saying? So it ain't like we have a choice of the matter. At the end of the day, I've said this.
We have a choice. And the
No,
choice,
we don't.
and the
Do
choice
you
will
really
be
think?
for us.
Your vote
not
counts,
even
Wiley?
who win or what. We have a choice of how we conduct ourselves. Again, as a person that have been in this country for 33 years, I don't trust anybody, black or white. But if you do something good for me, if it's a win, I take the win. I cannot try to change your history. I ain't gonna try to change your history. But if you get something and I from the table, I'm down for that. If you pass an infrastructure bill, if I'm working with a company and I own a company, I'm going to try to make sure I get that contract. Now, I also would like to say this, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican and you black, you still got to work hard, work smart. You still got to know how to operate in this system. We still have to think like a white man. And let me tell you,
What
like
does
a
that mean?
successful
What
white
the
man,
hell?
LLC, a business owner.
What?
Give me a second, Miss Stacy. You cannot interrupt me. This is the show. I have to mute you.
That was just so.
I understand that. I got to put you on mute, Miss Sus, because you like to interrupt. You got to listen to what I'm saying. To think like a successful white business owner, and Minister Louis Farrakhan said, and I believe the Elijah Muhammad said, let's learn from what they're doing. Because I'm learning from. I remember I was in Carrollton, Texas, or Plano. I was renting out a car from Turbo Rental Car Service. And I went to this white man's home. He had about 6 cars. And I said, sir, so you rent all these cars out? He said, yes. They're all paid off. I just make a disposal. I didn't even know you can do that, Don. I didn't know you could do that, Couture Bay. So that thought process, I was telling my other friend, now he's renting cars through Turbo, like it's like rental, like you can rent your personal vehicles out. You could buy as many. You can have your mini enterprise. The problem is when you mention somebody that is white, black people get a turnoff because they're not trying to hear the full statement. Just how she's trying to preach about Malcolm X, but not giving a full statement about Brother Malcolm. Because at the clear point, a lot of his ideas, he believed in Dr. King, but Dr. King really believed in it towards the end of his life. Got to talk about the money. Again, it's always been about the bread, the coins. Dr. King said, wait a minute. He talked about the government. Y'all telling us to pull ourselves by our own bootstraps, but the government was giving white folks land, giving them taxes, give them all this land, free land, just giving it to land that we were supposed to get, but they took some black folks got land on a certain percentage, a little
the
piece
Freedmen's
of
Bank.
Yeah, the Freedom's Bank. We lost our money there. So that's why I have to understand here that regardless if you're a Republican or a Democrat, Couture Bay, I still take myself as a black man, work twice as hard. I don't tell the world, well, I'm a Democrat. My life is good. Hell no. I still got to, because I'm still a big black man and I'm still working in a white society that own most of the white wealth, because the white people have most of the wealth compared to black America. If you calculate
99%, yep.
Yes. So go ahead, Couture Bay. I understand it, but she's making it seem like we just praising President Biden, that he's a good old white man. We never said that. I'm praising him on he canceled my student loan debt. Couture Bay,
You know what? This goes back to what I've been saying from the beginning. When it comes to voting, you got to vote in the best interest of you, not with these podcasters, your faves, your mama, your daddy. You have to vote in the interest of you. What's on the ballot for me is not going to be on the ballot for you. Some of us don't even live in the state of Florida, and we heard all about Ron DeSantis. I don't care about what he's doing over there because I have to focus on my state. And those are the games people play. They like to do Jedi mind tricks so you feel like you have no option, you have nothing. Voting is the best way to understand what is going on in the world, and not just at the presidential election, at the primaries, down at the bottom to your councilman, your statesman, your mayor, the judges, the lobbyists. You know, all that plays a part. Hell, the school district. They literally had on the ballot out here in San Antonio, should we give away health care, Medicare, Social Security, all these benefits you got to wait until you're 72 to get? They want to give it to the illegal immigrants. I voted absolutely not. Hell no. And all of y'all who are out here sleeping, thinking, oh, I don't care, my vote don't matter, then you shouldn't even have a comment. Don't comment. Leave this to the people who are out here voting. Okay? Because I don't just vote at the presidential election. There was a time where the Senate and the House were strictly Democratic, strictly Republican, and things weren't coming through. So I get tired of hearing the rigmarole. Oh, you got to be this, you got to be that. Vote in the best interest of you. I'm not anything. I'm me. And I'm going out there voting. I'm trying to see, because the best way to know what's going on is at that ballot. If Grandma Sue and Uncle Hank and them can get up and go and vote, how come you can't go vote? That's all I have.
Okay. Now I want to add to this, because people are saying, for everybody on here, people are saying, hey, I did not get all my debt canceled. Wiley, I understand that. You're correct. You know why? Because the Supreme Court, the conservative Supreme Court, all the conservatives voted against it and said, no, President Biden, you don't have the authority to do that. You overreaching your authority. It must pass through Congress. Now, you know why that happened? Because when the public, most of the people that voted for Trump was allowed to put how many people on the bench?
He put three. He put three. But I feel like this. I have an unpopular opinion about that. Ruth Gettysburg knew she was getting older, and she refused to step down. We could have put at least two up in there versus the one.
Exactly. So the point is, because you did not go vote. White America, it's because we're gonna bring Miss Stacy back on. They love it when they hear black folks say, don't vote. Oh, you so smart. If voting did not matter, well, damn, Don, why in Texas that it's a voter ID law? Why in Texas that they took away just voting down ballot? Why do you individually have to pick the person? Because back in the day in Texas, that if you vote Democrat, it automatically Democrat. Now you got to individually do it. Well, damn. If it don't matter, why can I not use my college student ID law? Well, damn. If it don't matter, why can we vote on my college university and I don't have to go 10 to 15 miles down yonder, only 2 voting locations, which need to have about 8. Well, damn, why is the governor of Texas is telling Harris County that they can't have drive-through ballots, that they're doing something wrong, illegal? Well, damn, if it doesn't matter, why does the governor of Texas say that allowing the Secretary of State to overthrow the Harris County people? And you know Harris County, Don, you know this. Who's the Democrat? What is the skin color of Harris County? Black. It's black folks, black judges, black mayors. At the time, it was a black mayor. I believe they have a white one now. But most of the power structure in Houston, a lot of it is blackness. And that is the most fearful thing for people in power, because they bank on us staying home. Go ahead, Miss Stacy, and then we can get Don point. Because I know where Don come from, because I learned it from him. I used to be that type of person. I'm a Democrat. My life gonna be easy breezy. once I got a little bit older, once that recession hit, this is the one thing that hit me that I felt was that recession. I was working at Chili's. It was Pat, Couture Bay, Don, and Stacy. And then when the recession hit, where's all the white people that was going to the restaurant? Because it was in Chicago Ridge, mostly white. They were all gone. The restaurant was empty. I went from making 40 hours to 2 hours. And I lost my job. Well, I left because who want to come and take all them buses and stuff just for 2 hours and then 1 hour? I just lost it all. So that's something that I felt, that recession. And this was before Obama. Who was the president during the recession? President Bush. So that's why I understood voting do matter, but not just on the federal level, on all levels, it matters. That's why I keep preaching to get people in those positions. Because if you think like that, you lose, because those people that have a stake in government, they be out voting because they understand, they know how to get things from the table. The problem is we have this idea, it's already been picked. Yeah, if you don't vote right. Yeah, if you don't run right. Yeah, if you don't put money in it. Yeah, you don't do, because Jason Lee, let's use Jason Lee as an example. Here he is, Hollywood Unlocked, messy. He started to run for city council, and it looked like he's going to go toe-to-toe with the vice mayor in November. How can that be? Because he had a plan and he voted. Now, Miss Stacy, you give your thoughts, and then we're going to bring it to a close, because then we can do two man and a lady. You can do your thoughts and stuff like that when it comes to it. And I want to get Don, last point with Don, because the questions do come up is how can Black folks want to become a homeowner, and what can they do right now in the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days to make it happen for those that want to get homes? Ms. Stacy.
I have the answer to that. Nothing, because in this economy, it's just not happening. But what I want to end on is that voting is not enough. The civil rights leaders, they did not vote. The Voter Rights Act was not obviously in law. So what they did was not vote. They were proactive. They marched, they protested, they had a movement. And that's what we have to do to see a change. Because like Don was saying earlier, we are entering a society, a postmodern society, where the idea is that you will own nothing and be happy. As cuckoo as it sounds, as much as a conspiracy as it sounds, that's basically where we're headed. When I was first on this panel, Wiley, a year ago, one of the things that we talked about was that I'm a independent Black woman that makes nearly 6 figures, and I found myself unemployed. And thank God I wasn't paycheck to paycheck, because there was some savings there, a cushion there. But if you are a person who lives in a rural part of the country that made 6 figures without children, and you still find yourself in a situation where that's not enough, what you make is still not enough, and you hardly have a savings, like, God bless the people who are actually in 6-person households and 4-person households, a single mom or 2 spouses with 4 kids. I don't see how they're making it. So when we realize that this is actually our new America, and this is the direction that our presidency is taking us, we have to take a stand. And that's not just going to be at the ballot. We really have to put our boots on and march, just like our leaders did. Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, the Nation of Islam. They were grassroots organizations. They were leaders who had their boots on the ground, and that's what we have to do at this point, because things are going to take a turn right now with that state of the nation speech, whatever he's doing right now. All of that is fluff, because I feel like he has made it pretty clear that it's all in our mind with the inflation that we're experiencing right now. And I'm pretty sure we all can agree that when we go to any register at any retail store, the grocery store, our favorite boutiques, the inflation is not imaginary. So at this point, the ballots is not enough. You saw those white people on January 6th with their insurrection, and it got people's attention, didn't it? And they got very light sentencing. So if that's what we have to go back to, then so be it. And that's what I want to end on.
Okay, I would love to make six figures. I have an issue with people that make minimum wage. All right, and working 40 hours and can't make it. If you're making six figures, you're pretty good. For
And
a lot of people would love to make six figures, including myself. I would love to make six figures or more. I'm mostly speaking for African American people that have never made six figures. Some of them haven't even making $15 an hour. There are some people in America that is making less than $15 an hour. So my point is not only just voting, don't get it twisted, because I've talked to plenty of politicians. I tell Black folks all the time, do not only vote, but you need to call your senator in Congress like you're doing now, Miss Stacy, Couture Bay, and Don. You need to join those Zoom call meetings. You need to voice your opinion. You need to go to City Hall and voice your opinion. Don't wait to the last minute. Do it every time. You need to get 300 Black folks. And then since I stay in Texas now, we're going to go to Austin and meet these people and call them by phone and call them by name and call them on Zoom. They don't like that. And they damn sure don't like it when you bring in 100 Black people or more there demanding to speak to your state representative to get things done. So don't just vote and go home and hope that they do something for you. You got to call in like you're calling into the Wiley Show to give your grievances. I only made six figures and I was still struggling. Well, damn it. Did you tell your congressperson that? Did you tell your senator that? Well, damn, Wiley, I can't send a super chat because my daycare is almost like a mortgage payment. Well, damn, sister, I understand that. I'm going to pray for you. But can I ask you, did you please tell that to your state representative that represent you state
level? You know I did. We've had this conversation before.
For the people, did you tell your congressman or your congresswoman that your daycare cost is so much? And you didn't. Complain to me is good, but I'm not in the state capitol. I'm not in Congress, etc. So we must ask that. But I do want to get to this with Don, with real estate. I want to ask you for the next 30, 60, 120 days for Black folks, including myself, that want to get into a home, what is the top three things? What is the to-do list that they need to do if they want to get into a home and be like, oh my gosh, I am a homeowner now? What do they need to do for those that just want to do a home? I'm not going to get into a unit, like, you know, an apartment building for just people just want to just get a home.
Right. So the first thing I would say is to fix your credit the best you can. Number one. Number two, save 5 to 10% down on a property. That 20% down shit, I'll say don't do it. There's so many what is the word I want to say? Word I'm looking for. I'm drawing a brain fart.
Yeah.
There's
but you need to say, but y'all need to say, because I do know, and then don't do all that spending, and you say you got $5,000 for a down payment, you don't really have it.
Right. Not only that, but like what I'm saying is like there are so many unconventional ways to fund or get funding for a property, you know, rather than going the conventional way. Absolutely. I think the conventional way right now, like I tell you guys, if you're going to buy any kind of property, you're going to invest in any kind of property, a home or anything, it has to follow the 1% rule. The 1% rule means the house has to rent for 1% of what it's worth. If you have a $200,000 house, you should get minimum $2,000 a month rent if you wanted to rent that property out. That's not going on right now. For example, the 1% rule is almost like 1.75%. So for example, the people who live in a $200,000 or $300,000 house, they're probably paying mortgage on the house that would probably be worth $450,000. And so now instead of the 30-year mortgage, you're talking about 45, 60 years until they break even, or get out of that spot. So save your money, and there's a lot of assets that banks own. Go to your local banks. I'm telling everybody the secret. Go to your local banks. They have inventory of properties that the bank own that they want to offload. And a lot of times during election years, these politicians and these special interest groups, these banks and these city managers, they hold the properties there. You can get them to offload it for you for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. That's what everybody's doing. Ain't no sense of you going every Tuesday to the city or at the first Tuesday of the month trying to go get the foreclosure list or nothing like that. What you're going to need is talk to people who are going through foreclosure, see if you can negotiate with something with them, cut the middleman out, and do what I just told you before. And so that's how you're going to win. That's how you're going to win. Take advantage of the market and keep more money in your pocket. Other than that, I'll say just stay tight and just save. When an opportunity presents itself, you take advantage of it because you'll have the means to do it. And that's the only thing we can do is just stay prepared.
I feel you on that. And that's on that note, because I don't know if Don have to go because I'm off tomorrow. Okay. Because these jobs, I would say this, they only want to work, and this is Texas. I know I'm not in Illinois no more. I know I'm in a right to, where's that, employer friendly state? So I'm working. Oh, sir, you're over your 40 hours, sir. Clock out early. You can't go over your 40 hours, but please do X, Y, Z. But please hurry up and clock out. This is Texas. So I did not get upset. I left there and I said, okay, this is their rules. I don't get mad at my boss because many of us get mad at my boss, but he's not the owner. He's an employee like me. He's just an upgrade employee with a position, right? So I didn't get upset. I said, if I want more than 40 hours, then go get another job because you can't get mad at that culture because whoever own it, that's their rules. So I went home. I was tired anyway. I put alcohol on my leg, took a shower, hit up Don. Like, do you want to do two men, a lady? And then I didn't even know it was a State of the Union because, again, I couldn't work about being a State of the Union. I got to worry about my bills. The state of my bills is being paid. And you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't even be concerned. I didn't even think about the State of the Union until I was at home and the North Carolina beat. He said, the State of the Union. I said, oh, it come on. Okay. Because I'm working like most Americans, Don. We're focusing on our day-to-day operation and not really focusing on what's going on in Capitol Hill because we got bills to be paid and rent to be paid. But I thank you, Don, for encouraging folks, giving us a list, and I'm writing it down. I'm getting some stuff up this. Now, one thing I got to get is the savings part. Because the credit part, I'm working on that. The savings part, definitely, and that's good to have anyway. Because when you become a homeowner, if anything break down, you got to pay for it. So you should have a savings anywhere for home repairs and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I do love that, Don, for you coming on. You haven't been on the show in a long time, but anytime we call you, you say, "Yeah, man, I'm going to come on. I got to support you." I gotta get you. I'll say thank you for coming on and joining us. Now we was gonna bring you on for the celebrity stuff, but I said no, I gotta bring Don on for this because you said the rent and you said how you believe in that Trump was more business friendly. Now again, I believe that Biden was, because the reason why I'm saying that is because I wasn't operating as a business. Maybe if I was operating as a business, I would be like, oh, Trump. But I'm just looking at, oh, he canceled my student loan debt. I'm with that particular issue.
Well,
what are your closing thoughts? Oh, you want to say something?
I'll just tell you something about the LLC. So remember when I told you you got to start with the LLC, then we're gonna have to switch it over to a trust and stuff like that.
Exactly. You did say that. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, say within the next 6 months, we want to get that in progress, just start the process because Uncle Joe signed another bill, and so this bill that I think it took place January 24th of this year. So every LLC you have that is not accounted for, or you don't report all the earnings for it, or it's considered a side hustle, you're going to be audited, and you're going to have to pay a fine of $500 a day.
I think I believe it was $250. It was 200. at $50, because I got the email that if you don't file this paperwork, that by a certain deadline, it will be like $250 a day. I believe that was the email that I received, because that's how I just talked to my accountant to make sure she had that set up correctly, because I don't want to get no fine. But go ahead.
Right. And so, but another thing, you guys, I want you guys to pay attention, please, please, please. I'm a zoning and coding compliance and city ordinance expert. I want you guys to pay attention to all of the apartment complexes, the monstrosity, the big apartment complexes that are being built up, where it's like a business at the bottom and apartments at the top or whatnot. These are going to be called 15-minute communities. And so they're trying to pack, especially in Texas, they're trying to pack everybody in like sardines. And so they're going to make rent very, very affordable soon. You will see the gauntlet coming down soon. Guarantee you before the summer, you will see it. Rents are going to be going down because the legislation has already been passed through Congress. And so I'm telling you guys, they're going to mandate and they're going to start, what do you want to say? Start capping rental prices for they're going to start with the Airbnbs, and they're going to invoke that hotel tax on them. Then it's going to swindle down to properties and things like that. So I'm just reminding you guys, rent will be cheap, and owning a house will be almost impossible at the terms that you want. So if you're going to buy a house from now and for the next 3 years, you're not making a now investment. You're making an 8-year investment. I'm going to say that again. If you're buying a property in the next 2 or 3 years, you're making an 8-year investment. That's when the market is going to normalize again. It's going to take about 8 years. Remember, it takes about 8 years after every recession. It takes about 8 years. Look at 2008, 2009, 2010, 8 years it went on, right? 2017, 8-9 years, it was good. And then 2018, prices start to dip, then the coronavirus. And then all the wackiness started happening. I'm also a property tax consultant. So a lot of these areas where you see the valuations are sky high, I'm going to have to reduce them by $100,000 in a lot of these areas in Dallas. So imagine you getting your tax assessor's bill or your property tax bill, or the city's tax assessor sending you, what the valuation of your house. This year it might say 330, and next year it's going to say 230. You lost $100,000 in equity because the equity wasn't there in the beginning. It was inflation.
Okay. Now, I do want to bring something up concerning what you said about Biden, what he passed. He executive order. He is called Renters Bill of Rights. This is an executive order. It's a federal tenant protection, and so he's flirting with the idea of rent control. He haven't really done that yet, but is saying right here that it will allow, make sure that it would allow. Okay, let me read this. Since the campaign trail, President Joe Biden has promised to create Renters Bill of Rights, federal tenant protection. In recent months, he also been pressured by congressional Democrats and affordable housing advocates to use the executive power to make it powers to more strictly regulate corporate landlords and their ability to charge market prices for housing. Both have suggested in letters to the White House that the FHFA use its power to cap rent increases at properties, okay, with the Fannie Back mortgage. Wednesday announcement doesn't commit that the Biden administration of the FHFA to actually enacting rent control, but it does say that the independent agency will launch a process to consider it. So they're talking about considering it, but they're really zoning in on corporate landlords. Let's be clear here. Chase decided to buy how many properties, Don? They want to buy a lot.
Yes. And so the CDC, remember I told you during the COVID, the CDC purchased more land than all investors put together. The Center of Disease Control. They purchased over 500 million acres of land in the United States, free land. free land, which is the highest form of land ownership in America, is fee simple absolute. That's freeman's land. And that freeman is exactly what you think it is. It's freeman's land. So when the government, Bill Gates and all these people go on TV and tell you there's not we don't have enough land and we need this population control, blah, 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 blah. They're not talking about actual land that you see. They're talking about free land, fee absolute land, land that has no jurisdiction. And this gets into zoning and how gentrification starts. I'm not going to get into that rant, but I'm saying just look it up for yourselves. And I always tell you guys this. If you want to know the fee simple absolute land near you, go on Google. If you're on the show right now, go on Google and type in unincorporated cities near me. And you'll see all the free man's land that's within your jurisdiction that no city owns.
Right. And let me say this, Don, respectfully. If President Biden signs an executive order, and he should have signed it when he first got in office, it'll be too late because it won't help most people. If he would have signed an executive order to do rent control, everybody and their mama would, especially black folks, will be voting for it. But the reason why it will not be successful, again, it sounds good, but you got a conservative Supreme Court. They will strike it down. Oh, you overstep your authority. Because if he couldn't pass, in my home opinion, I'm not a lawyer. If he couldn't get rid of all the debt like he wanted to, or certain amount, not all of that, but certain amount of Pell grants, etc., and the Supreme Court said, you overstep your authority. Only Congress can enact a bill and you can sign it into law. Now, if he said today, or he just decide to do it, it would just be nothing but political theater. I'm going to do rent control and sign it. All Texas, Louisiana, Arizona, all these southern states, even probably New York, they will sue the federal government, say he have overstepped his authority. He don't have the power to do rent control. So it will just be good theater. It will fail on his face, and he shouldn't promise that. And that's probably why he didn't do a press conference, because he knows the Supreme Court is going to strike that down like they did his student loan plan, his original plan that he wanted to do for most of Americans that's making a certain amount of money to have their debt canceled.
But another reason why that'll get slapped down? Another reason why that'll get slapped down, because what you don't realize about real estate is most of your corporate owners of real estate are your slumlords. The people who own all the apartments complexes in our hoods that don't make no repairs. You have apartment complexes in 2024 that still have window AC units and shit like that. Most of those guys, because they get government subsidies anyway off Section 8 and things like that, they would rather keep it the same and run that shit like an institution. Literally, they're running all these apartments like a prison institution, where they give the tenants, just like prisoners, the bare minimum, bread and water, which is a decent place to live and air conditioning. That's it. But they're not gonna do anything else. And so the reason why they haven't chopped down on that, because most of the corporate entities operate the apartments, or the areas that they control, the areas that we live in, and that's why you see it develop the way it is. You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense for you to see the apartments when you were a kid they look the exact same as they look now 25, 30 years later with no change. You know what I mean? Something has to be in control of that, and it's bigger than the city. And that's all I say about that.
All right. So I think that's a very good point here. We're going to add Stacy back on, because you're right. All of these corporate blah, 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 it's different than having a mom and pop shop, because they more focused. This is their investment. This is their only one. Maybe they have another one. But if you have somebody like Chase or somebody from Wall Street, they don't give a damn, because they pretty much own the market. If you own the market, you don't give a damn. You got to be great. You own it. Where else you going to go to? Another one of our properties that's even worse than this one. So you're gonna just transfer a bed, having bed bugs infection to go to be infected with or infested with roaches. So you're gonna trans one infection or infestus or a leaky pipe to another a leaky pipe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say this, that something do need to happen with affordable rent because people, unfortunately, Don, they are already here because the corporate people have already taken over with being the landlords here as being one of the leading landlords here. So that have already happened. Stacy, did you want to say something?
Hey, Wiley.
Okay.
So I'm reading that new legislation. Well, it's not new legislation. It's an executive bill that, like you said, he's been flirting with. Is something that's kind of, but I'd be surprised if it was actually put in law. But wow, that would be amazing. Um, but the thing is that you said that the buzzword was corporate housing or something like that. So does that
Corporate
mean just
landlord.
all corporate landlords? So that means just like all of the housing that's owned by, like, I don't know, BlackRock or like
Chase,
Zillow.
Chase, or Welfare, like
Yes.
all those
Okay.
all
So
those properties.
it's
Go ahead,
it's it's
Don.
a little
So
bit.
like
It's a
the
little bit.
larger real estate investors, not like your next door neighbor who owns the property that you're staying in and you're paying him a cashier's check.
No, not what I've read.
Not the
Not
small
that.
guy.
I think they're
No,
mostly.
it's the small guys too, you
Oh,
guys.
okay. We'll trigger
So
down to the
I
small
tell you
guy.
like this. So when you hear about BlackRock and Vanguard and place and even what's your guy Warren Buffett and a lot of things they do. What they'll do is, say for example, BlackRock would be the biggest umbrella, and under that umbrella you would have four major umbrellas or four categories, and then what would happen is the real estate portfolio will go into a category with say seven other umbrellas, but every umbrella is a different trust with a different amount in it. So it's a different separate entity, even though it's owned by the same umbrella. They still have the flexibility to operate as their own, so to speak. And so it's
So
hidden
they're
like
subsidiaries. So
there you go.
BlackRock
There's subsidiaries.
might make a sister company called ABC, Rentals of Atlanta or something like that. So
Exactly. And you would see somebody,
So
for
as a way
example,
to curb them trying not to have like the onus on BlackRock, they're going to say you own this
there you
company.
go. There you go.
So
You
okay,
remember they
that makes
remember
sense.
they don't remember.
Think I think that should be put into law because greed is. I don't know if you remember because I've called in a few times at this point, Wiley, mostly about the politics, although every now and then about pop culture. But a year ago, when we were having a very similar conversation, I told you that when I was laid off, it was from a real estate investor.
Yes. So Stacy,
So,
remember, this is like we talked about earlier, Wild, and we've talked about this a couple of times on your show. Remember what I told you guys in the beginning when I first started talking in the State of Union. At the end of the day, it's about control. They don't give a fuck who owns it. They don't want to own it. They want to control the asset. They own the company who's controlling the asset. You get what I mean? But they're not responsible. The company is solely the subsidiary, like Stacy said. So that's what it's about. This is about control, like I told you guys. It's not about ownership. Like they don't want to own anything because if you own anything on paper, you're liable for it. They want to control the asset. They don't want to own anything physically on paper.
So
it, it's
I think it's a great point on that, but I also want to dive into this with voting, you guys. President Biden just tweeted this out. He said, "If Republicans truly want to honor John Lewis, then it's time for more than just talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, John Lewis Voting Rights Act." So when black folks say our vote don't matter, the Supreme Court struck down, gutted part of the Voters' Right Act and said we don't need it anymore because pretty much what they said, to summarize, racism is no more. We don't need that anymore. And when they gut most of the bill out, Texas, Louisiana, all of these red states just went right back to voter ID, really restricting how many voter polling places, etc. So that's why it needs to be restored back to its full power, because they're going back to stripping our rights to make it harder for us to vote. In Georgia, that if I want to give, say for instance, me and Don and Stacy, we all go to Walmart, we bring juices and chips, and we want to feed the people in the line. In Georgia, they passed a law. If we feed people in the line, we can be arrested, in charge and arrested, right? So a lot of those stuff have just these crazy laws have just been passed. It's just so crazy. In Florida, when they allow felons to be able to restore their right to vote, they fought hard for that. In the state of Florida, I believe the governor said, in order for you all to get that right, you must pay back all these fees. It's reminded me going back, the name how many jelly beans, the poll tax. So I want to tell people is that we must look at what's going on. Your vote do matter. It do count. Because if it didn't, well, damn, why do we need the gut a bill? Let's just give black folks the illusion that it worked. It does work. The problem is, it's a lot of us that give these conspiracy theories or these ideas that, oh, our stuff doesn't matter. It does. If I go and run for Congress, if Don, you go run for Congress in your district, I run for Congress in my district, pretty much, let's keep it a stack. Maybe what, 200,000 people live in your district? Maybe 300,000? So, and you already know all 300,000 not going to vote if they're eligible and they register. You may only have about 50, if it's a non-presidential year, maybe about 60 to 70,000 people may vote. So if I get 45 and you get less than, you will be the next congressperson. So I'm just saying that we must educate our people about civics and about how this government operates and how we can get things off the table, like grants, free money, how we can get things off the table. And that's the issue that I feel that we're not doing enough of that, because if voting did not matter, there would be no people voting in the civil rights era. People was voting in the civil rights era. It was some black folks that put their life on the line to vote. Some have voted. Medgar Evers lost his life because he wanted people in Mississippi to have the right to vote. And look what happened to him. So if it didn't matter, then why you take him out? Just let the black folks vote. They knew when black people voted, once they became free, they became Congress people. They became all the way in the state house during that time. They really was dominating. Black folks during that era, our ancestors started building their own schools, so your vote do matter. When black people vote, we exercise our power. We love supporting black businesses. We love supporting the black enterprise. Look at Plano, Don. You know this. I don't know if you know it. There's 2 black-owned restaurants in Plano, Texas. I couldn't believe it. I know about What's Clucking. Then it's another restaurant that's black-owned, and they're thriving. And black people support. So this whole idea, and then you give your closing remark, if you want to add on to this, black people don't support business. That's a lie. If you got the business, if you market it right, and if it's good, black people will support it. Because I found a fried chicken place with lemon pepper and mild salt in the state of Texas. The way how y'all cook chicken, no offense, Don, but shit, y'all add too much lemon seasoning salt, or y'all call that some good chicken. I love that Chicago style worth of chicken, and I support a black-owned business anytime I'm in Plano. I was just in there a weekend ago before I got drunk. But go ahead if you want to add on to the conversation. I just had to say that. I went on a tangent, but
before we go any further, tell me what's Chicago style chicken?
Okay, lemon pepper mild sauce. That's Chicago style chicken. And I'm gonna take you to What's Clucking. We need to go there. I just want you to taste it, because you're gonna be like, whoa, because I had somebody else taste it that's from Texas. They loved it. They were, oh my God, it's so good. I never tasted this. I said, it's really, really good. That's that Chicago stuff. So Don, when you off,
Man,
you show
you
a
think y'all
building.
can cook chicken better than the niggas in the South? Are you
Yeah,
serious?
wait, but you know the people
Come
from
on.
the South migrated to Chicago.
I
Stop
know,
playing,
but man,
Don.
say, man.
Stop playing. My grandmother migrated from Georgia to the South. I'm from Mississippi. A lot of black people doing that great migration came from the South to Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore.
Look at T1000 blasphemy.
I'm not
Say it
saying,
again,
okay,
bro.
Don, let's do a challenge. You take me to the best Southern Texas fried chicken, and I'm gonna take you to what I think is the best Chicago style chicken. Let's compare the chicken. We go eat it on camera, and let's see who gonna win.
Okay.
Southern style.
Let's see, because the chicken that I tried in South Dallas.
No, we're not going no South, man, bro. Come on, this dude. I ain't
had a
knocking
lot
South
of
Dallas,
lemon
but nah,
pepper.
bro. Like, nah, we gonna, man. Trust me.
And what's the other one? That chicken is black owned, and Texas love it. Oh, what's the name of it? Oh my God, it's a black owned chicken place.
Tell it, man. Hey, man. T1000 says eat a deep dish pizza while they stay in your lane.
Williams chicken. I tried Williams chicken. It's not the best. It's
say look. You talking about when you that's like
Popeyes.
That's like a hood staple. That's not even like a, you know what I mean? That's like, you notice where every Williams is in like the poorest area of that area.
Oh yeah, but this Williams chicken is in Carrollton, Texas. That's not the hood.
Look. So it's like say what's the Chicago place you just told me?
Oh, Harold's Chicken. Oh, this place is West Clucking, and they used to own Harold's chicken.
Okay, just say if you move West Clucking to East LA and had a whole bunch of Hispanics cooking it. That's how I feel about Williams and Carrollton.
Oh, it was Hispanics. Wait a minute, Don. You crazy. It was Hispanics and Williams chicken. Oh my. Wait a minute. It was Hispanic. I thought it was weird. I said, wait a minute.
Come on, bro.
Wow. Oh, okay. You got me there. Okay. So let me try. Okay, you take me to you go pick me up, take me to the best, that you feel like.
So we're gonna go old school. We're gonna go old school. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna go old school. And no cap. No. Hold up. That's a debate right there, Melanin Queen. So, I ain't gonna say they all brown. Nope. I ain't gonna say that. I can say that, but I can't say that. It's like like, even though we from Texas, the Mexicans and the blacks, we all talk the same, say the N-word, everything. But like, I tell people, like, everybody can't say that word to me. You know what I mean? And so everybody that Hispanic to me ain't brown. A lot of them align themselves with white Spaniards. You know what I mean? Conquistadors. And so they don't like our kind anyway. And you can look at the ancestors, the Mexicans. The Mexicans were one of the 12 tribes.